Good morning, Goose. Howdy and welcome back to Goose Unlimited. Today we are going to be working on my 2015 Chevy Suburban. Coming home from an event, I pulled into the driveway, shut her down, and the coolant fans continue to run. Just full blast craziness. Got online, did a little looking, found the biggest recommendation was that it was the coolant temperature gauge or switch. Ran to the store, went and grabbed one, came back, threw it in. Turned out that wasn't the problem. The only way I could get my fans to turn off was actually to pull the fuses off of the fuse box. Did a little bit more digging, and then the next suggestion was that it was the thermostat. So I ran back, grabbed a thermostat, and we're going to install it now. So for this project, you will need a 10mm socket and a flat-bladed screwdriver. You will need the thermostat as well as some coolant. Now to access the thermostat, you have to remove this air box here, which is pretty simple to do. Flat blade screwdriver on the hose clamp that you can see there. Just loosen that. Then you've got these hoses here. On the right side, you push up, pull. On the left side, you push down. This is the exact same pull. Then, before I flip that up, I'm going to just pop the seal on the coolant reservoir to relieve any pressure. To eject the hose. Alright, then we can just pull this off. And then I just put that in there to get it out of the way. Now you follow the hose from the radiator to the thermostat. While we're here, I'll point out that directly next to the thermostat is the coolant temperature switch. My recommendation is if you're having this problem, you might as well change out both. I've got $70 in the thermostat and coolant and $25 into the switch. So it's not a bunch of money for $100 in parts. Just get them both out of the way, then you know that you're good and don't have to worry about it. Looking at the thermostat, you see the triangular base of it, and you've got 1, 2, and then a third one back here, and just loosen those. One other tool that you might want are pliers to undo the hose clamps. Right, with all three bolts removed, you can just pull it out. You will get coolant, so be aware of that. Now you may want to remove the hose while the thermostat is still installed into the pump, but I've decided to do it this way so that you guys can kind of see. Of course, my big hand's in the way. I guess it wouldn't matter. Yep. Here's something new to me. With these clamps, if you can get in with a needle nose plier, you can actually get it to open up and lock in place to make it easier to move. So now that I got both clamps locked open, I should be able to do this with one hand. Yeah, maybe not. This is the old thermostat. What you need to make sure is that when you take it off, that O-ring is there. It's not. Oftentimes it does get stuck on the pump housing. So be sure to peel that off. So for the new one, you also want to make sure that it's got that brand new O-ring. Get down here and install it just the same way that the other one went in. And I like to try to start all my bolts by hand. That way I don't have a bunch of mechanical force on it whenever I start it. Because if I am good at anything when it comes to home mechanic, it is stripping nuts and bolts.
Alright, so those are all starting well.
And then because you are dealing with aluminum parts, plastic parts, and steel bolts, make sure you don't over tighten it. Once you got those, let's install some hoses. Man, I like the way that works. This one might be a little more difficult. Yeah, use 2 hands for this. So to take 2 hands with that, I use the pliers and a flat bladed screwdriver. Once you get both these hoses secure, you can drop that back down, line up the boot tighten her down. Pop these hoses back on. Check. So once you've got all that back in place, we're going to top off the fluid and reinstall the fuses and then give her a shot. Now we're going to replace the fuses. And hopefully the fans will not come on. Oh, that is such a good sign. So far so good. Let's start her up. Fans kicked on right away after starting it. It's not a good sign. And they're still running. Alright, gotta figure something else out. So this is after 5 miles of driving. You can see that the temperature gauge is still all the way to the left. The voltage reading is about 13 volts. Those fans have continuously ran. The heater's blowing hot. That's not a big deal. The AC is not going to work, and the check engine light is still on. What I forgot that I heard, and I guess we're going to confirm it, is as long as that error code is still in there, it's going to continue to run the fan as if the thermostat was still malfunctioning, because it doesn't want to overheat the vehicle, which means it's going to do it until I get to the auto parts store tomorrow and buy a code reader so I can clear out the code. And hopefully that will finish this project. Well, here's a good sign. Got up this morning. The goal was to head towards work, stop at the auto parts store on the way, get a code reader to clear out that code. And after about 2 miles, I've actually got a temperature reading on the temperature gauge. Obviously you can see the check engine light is still on, but this at least tells me that the temperature sensor is working and that the thermostat should be working correctly. See you later, Goose.